This is All Meat, Hold the Anchovies.
David, my best friend in all the world.
That'd be me.
I want to prepare you. I want to prepare you for what is about to happen, my friend.
Okay.
I am starting tonight's episode with something that is going to make you dreadfully uncomfortable. I mean, not what just happened.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, on the actual show.
Dreadfully uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That, you know, is it really slightly uncomfortable? You ever been slightly uncomfortable, or is it you just uncomfortable?
Yeah, I've been slightly uncomfortable before, but not super uncomfortable.
Because you know how they changed well, you might not know, but they changed the concussion levels of severity. It used to be mild, severe concussion. Now it's all concussion, which is what it should be. Because you never know when somebody's taking a second hit to the head. So now, dreadfully uncomfortable sounds...
Okay, maybe not dreadfully, but...
Okay.
So this is our 5th episode of All Meat, Hold the Anchovies. And I just want to give you props for great intros. Excellent work.
You know, I think you kind of tricked me into them. Because you did one off the cuff to kind of show me what it was going to sound like or how it was going to come across. And I said, why did you yell?
Yeah, it was terrible.
But you didn't yell. You just used what I call your radio voice. It was clear. Yeah. It was right there. And you were like, I didn't yell. I said, no, just do it like this. And you said, that was perfect. Do some of those. I'm like, I fell into that, didn't I?
Yeah. I didn't know you were going to send me 15 files for me to have to go through. But I have like 4 or 5 that I'm just going to use consistently. But anyway, I know you don't like the limelight, but I think it's great. It's different because, we've done 400 plus 500 episodes. And you've never, at least. Well, I'd have to look, but I'm sure it's at least 400 something.
So it took a podcast about nothing from you to use my voice as the intro.
That's right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, welcome. Hey, I have a question for you.
More.
Well, first of all, I have 41 baseball introductions to record tonight.
Oh, wow.
I have to record, coming to bat, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Then I have to take a clip of the song they want. I make it a 20-second clip. And then at 7 seconds in, I put me saying that, and I have to, and then the music lowers underneath it and comes back up. 41 of those.
Oh my gosh.
Technically, they don't have to be done till tomorrow night, but I'm going to get all the names done tonight. Then I'll throw them over the audio, the music. So anyway, I got a busy thing. But my question was, have you ever planked? Exercise plank, not the fad that was 10 years ago or whatever. Have you ever planked?
Now, I obviously don't do it on a daily basis for the question I'm about to ask. But is it just you're like, I can see your face going, I know you don't do it on a daily basis. Are you talking about just holding for a period of time?
Yeah, you can either do it on your hands, like you're going to do a push up, but not, or you can do it on your elbows. But I just started doing them. I only lasted like 39 seconds today. It was terrible. But in my workout program, they have what's called active planks, where you're in plank position.
Uh-huh.
I was so self-conscious when I did this in the gym. You push your hips up as high as you can, then you put them all the way down to the ground. You put them all the way up. You just keep doing this until you can't do it anymore. So they're hard, but they look.
Do you do it really slow, or do you try to do it as fast as possible? Do you look left and right, or do you go behind a wall and try to do it?
Anyway, they're harder than regular planks, but they look ridiculous. So.
Now, I used to do it with the girls' soccer teams I used to coach. Towards the end of the club team I did, they would do them at the end, and I would do it with them. Not nearly as long as them. nowhere near. And then I would do it with my high school team too.
Yeah.
They like the challenge of it.
Yeah.
So,
well, speaking of exercise,
not regularly though.
Yeah. My stress test went well. I lasted 9 minutes and 39 seconds. Once they hit that one where you're running and the incline's ridiculous, I lasted like 38 seconds. So she said the longest one ever that she's ever done was 18 minutes. And he could have went forever, and they just stopped it. 83 years old.
He didn't need a stress test. It was obvious. Or was it just a routine thing?
Well, probably just a routine thing. But 83 years old. He said he'd been golfing every day for 30 years, and he walked. He never rode a cart.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, enough.
See, it's funny you mentioned stress because I think I've told you before. Well, I only got Instagram to follow Bailey's dog because she wanted me to keep up with his pictures because I'm really kind of getting tired of Facebook. But anyway, and my Instagram name is Chef Hulk Smash because that's what they call me in the kitchen, is Chef Hulk. And Terry once said when we were in there and there was some youth getting on my nerves. And long time ago, she once said, you don't want to make him angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. And she credits me for being a very laid back person, very calm person, very, very low stress. I have a good temperament to deal with things, just like the way I'm talking right now.
I don't think I've ever seen you angry.
See, that's just it. I don't usually get angry, but when I do get angry, I feel like I could get violent. Just not. No, I mean cabinet punching, door slamming, glass breaking violent.
Yeah.
But it really takes a lot to get me there.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Have you ever? I mean, I can't remember the last time I was so angry I wanted to throw something. Have you ever been?
I punched a hole in the wall once.
Like
I punched a hole in the
sheetrock wall.
Yeah, and Connie told me before the boys get home from school that better be fixed.
Well done, Connie.
So I took a day off and fixed it.
I'm trying to think if I've kicked something or
that's been 20 years ago. I haven't.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine you ever doing that. And I've known you for how long?
I don't know, 25 years, something like
that.
No,
I've seen you whine and get upset and stuff, but not punch because your hands are important.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever that may be. Okay.
So, well, if we don't get to it right away, I do have an update on the birds aren't real front.
Oh, nice.
Called Poultrygate. #Poultrygate. But what do you did you want to talk about something tonight specific?
It's funny because I went online. I was inspired by your conspiracy things, and I went online looking for more conspiracies. And of course, I'll be honest.
What was the conspiracy I mentioned? Was it it was the birds aren't real.
The thing you just mentioned.
Yeah. That conspiracy, right?
Yeah, there's a conspiracy that people think you're not real. But anyway, you just loop back over yourself. No, but it's weird because you found a great conspiracy because for one, I didn't know anything about it. But two, there's a website. There's people that actually believe it. I mean, I found some silly stuff like Finland doesn't exist. Have you seen that one?
Wait. It's there. How does it not exist?
It's there on maps. Anything could be there on maps.
But people live there.
They think they live there.
Wait a second.
It's kind of a hoax of a theory. It's
a hoax. Okay.
It's supposedly put on by Japan and Russia during the mid 20th century to give them the opportunity to fish and stuff. But it's kind of a goofy hoax.
Okay.
But I just read that thinking, wow, that's got to be. Oh, really? That's ridiculous. Okay. I mean, they have their own Olympic team, so they got to be good. But I really get into. It's weird that I would get into this, but it's not so much conspiracy theories as it's more like fan theories about the Disney crossovers. All those Disney movies that have interloping characters and scenes, because you go watch a movie about space and you're seeing little characters from Monsters Inc.
Right.
All those little crossover things and all the theories, and it's kind of interesting. And then about 5 minutes into it, I'm thinking, I just wasted 5 minutes reading this, and this really has nothing to do with anything. But I really am disappointed that I couldn't find one as good as yours.
Well,
I
it's
love your
hard to
bird one.
beat. Birds aren't real. I mean, the whole flat Earth thing is pretty close,
Yeah.
and they are passionate, but yeah, it's kind of hard.
So
I'm sure there's more out there, but
well, since we're talking about conspiracy theories, go ahead and do your update. You want to do it now?
sure.
Okay.
So first of all, to update y'all, I don't remember if this was last episode or episode 3 because I've been editing all of them trying to get ready to launch the podcast. It looks like it was episode 3 because that's my notes. There are some people that believe birds are actually secret drones from the government, right? They're not real. That over a period of 41 years, the government killed over 12 billion birds and replaced them with drones, right?
Right.
We talked about the bird poop actually being surveillance, right? We all that kind of stuff. So I was looking at it for some reason. I went back and there's this big banner that says Poultrygate. So I clicked on it. It says the most important email link in history. These emails were delivered to us from our sources within the White House and Pentagon. Our movement is in constant communication with whistleblowers and leakers. They clearly prefer to remain anonymous. Hollywood elites and A-listers are also involved with this, as we assumed, such as Kevin Sorbo and Clay Aiken. Who is Kevin Sorbo?
That's Hercules, the guy that played Hercules with the long hair and stuff.
And Clay Aiken. Isn't that a singer?
Yeah, American Idol.
Oh, well, apparently Kevin Sorbo and Clay Aiken do not think birds are real. So, all right. So the key revelations. This is Poultrygate right here. All right. Number 1, many politicians and elites are involved with the bird drone surveillance crisis. Some notable names are Ted Cruz and Bill Gates. Number 2, the government has hollowed out countless mountains in the U.S. using their empty innards of them as factories to build bird drones. To complete this massive renovation project, they recruited the help of Ty Pennington of Extreme Home Makeover fame.
So it would be Extreme Mountain Makeover.
Yes. Now, many of the highest ranks of our society are admitted ornithophiles. Ornithophiles. I have no idea what that means. They not only love birds, but they are also obsessed with the avian species. Now, this is the big revelation. Those were boring. This is the big one.
Okay.
There are confirmed living real birds still on the face of the earth. The government is holding an unknown amount of chicken farms where they continue to breed real organic chickens. The reason for this is unknown, other than it has to do with quote unquote pleasure.
Oh my word. You had me until the end. Oh my
I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
I know. I'm just. You had my attention until pleasure.
Poultrygate. There are living poultries. There are still birds alive. This changes everything. It says.
Wow. It sure does.
Okay, so I have a question. What? Okay. Usually, when you see pleasure in quotes, you're thinking, pleasure, right? Right?
No, pleasure in quotes means sarcastic. I thought it meant sarcastic pleasure. Like,
not
pleasure.
Sarcastic.
Pleasure.
It'd be like, I'm going to quote unquote sleep over at her house or something. So I'm thinking, what pleasure could chickens possibly, is it like for chicken fights? Is it for the thrill of killing them? Is it some weird deviancy that no one could figure out? What is this pleasure?
Growing chickens for pleasure is pulling them out of the grease covered in batter and devouring them. That is the pleasure of real chickens.
I wonder if they grow them so that high-ranking officials in the government can have real fried chicken.
So what are we?
I mean, seriously, that would be pleasure.
So what do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I should have looked that up. What are we eating if we eat fried chicken? I don't know, and I'm not going to look it up right now. But that's a great question. No, I'm gonna look that up and give y'all an update. So Poultrygate didn't take that long to talk about. No. Basically, there are still chickens alive, and for some reason it's a big secret, and they don't know why. All right, so what is fried chicken? If you're just joining us, the reason why I'm asking what is fried chicken, it's not because I'm weird. All right, that's Poultrygate. I don't really have anything else to say about Poultrygate. I mean, I don't know. They actually have the real emails. Like, you can click a link and go look at the actual documentation that they're talking about.
All right, so let's move on to a more serious topic. Although we were serious about Poultrygate, it's just not a serious topic.
If you're into conspiracy theories and you think the government's looking at you, this is not an unserious topic. But neither one of us feel that way. So
now, if you think the government's not looking at you, then you're walking with blinders. Now, I got a posing question as in a would you rather, one option or the other. Yeah,
I like these.
And it's one that we talk about. We don't want to talk about food and what we watch on TV and streaming a lot. We don't want that to be the sole subject of every other episode. But that is something we talk about that a lot. Yeah, we do a lot of. But I want to ask you this question specifically because you're my buddy, and
as opposed to someone else on the podcast.
Exactly, who won't answer. Okay. Would you rather read an amazing book or watch an awesome movie? Because the reason I want to ask you this question, because you're on the podcast with me, but I know your affinity for books. I know how often you read how often you read, in quotation marks, which I'm actually being listened to. Books.
Yeah, that's my next topic for us to talk about.
Oh, is it? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
I would rather listen to a long book because it lasts a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot more detail in a book than there is in a movie.
Yeah.
And my imagination provides all the character, what they look like, and the atmospheres and all that stuff. So I would rather have that experience over a course of several weeks in my car as I drive than watch a great movie.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that, but Terry got me the Wheel of Time books for Christmas.
Time.
It's the new series on Amazon. Wow, you're a reader and you don't know what the Wheel of Time series is. Now I'm not even sure if it's called the Wheel of Time series, but it's on Amazon. It's a fantasy show called Wheel of Time.
Okay.
And it's just a fantasy show. But anyway, I am having such a hard time reading.
Oh, are you?
And it has nothing to do with the story because I love seeing a show or movie about a book. And even if I don't get through the whole book in whatever portion I watched, I love being able to put faces to actors, to characters.
Right.
It helps you read quicker. So I was reading The Fellowship of the Ring and the first book. And then this is going to be a little spoiler here. And if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, the movie about 30 years ago, but anyway, I hadn't finished the first book. I never read The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings in high school.
Yeah.
So I may have told you this story before, but we went to a bookstore. Terry and I were out with the soccer team on a trip, and the soccer team was doing something. I wasn't coaching at the time. So she and I just went to this giant bookstore, and I'm sitting there just looking around. She's looking at books. I'm looking at being not interested, finding a chair. Yeah. But I sit right behind this stand of books, and the stand of books is these thick paperbacks of The Lord of the Rings. It's
Okay.
all 3 books in one.
Yeah.
And I look at the cover, and it's a Nazgul sitting on his horse in a shadow. And I'm like, that looks awesome. But I
Yeah.
also realized that's a movie poster. So I start reading it, and I'm like, I can't put this down. So I'm buying this book. So I read up to a certain point in the book. Then the movie comes out.
Oh,
And we're watching the movie.
you watched the movie even though you were reading the
Yes,
book?
before
Oh, I
got
would
to
never
the
do
end of the
that.
book.
I would never do that.
So you've seen Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in Moria in the first Fellowship of the Ring. And
Okay.
Gandalf gets tripped by the Balrog and pulled down into the mass of nothing. It was all I could not do in the theater but to stand up and say, I haven't gotten this far in the book.
You're the one that went to the stupid movie theater.
I went to it opening day because I was so in love with that story. But
that's so funny.
So obviously I went and read all the rest of the books before the next movie came out. I read all the Hobbit and everything. And you're right. You can get so engrossed.
I know.
In books. But it's such a commitment when I could just sit down with a bag of kettle corn and just watch a movie, a good movie.
You know, they're really 2 completely different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't know. They're just 2 completely different experiences. They stimulate different parts. You know, they use different senses, and yeah. I mean, like I can watch a movie and love it. You know, just as much probably as I would enjoy reading a book. It just isn't in as long of a time. But if it's really well done and the acting is really good and stuff like that, then absolutely, I love watching a great movie. But there's something about reading a good book. Mm-hmm. I'm actually kind of struggling with the book I'm in right now. I'm trying to give it a shot. It's called To Sleep in a Sea of Stars.
Ooh, great title.
Yeah, you don't need to read it. By Christopher Paolini. It is 32 hours long. Oh. I'm 11 hours into it, and I'm still having trouble staying with it. But now I want to know what happens.
Yeah.
But still, do I want to invest another 21 hours in this book? You know, I don't know.
Do you get bothered at all by the reader using the different voices and?
Oh no, that's part of the. If you get a really good reader.
Yeah.
You know, and it usually takes 5 or 10 minutes to acclimate yourself to a new reader. Mm-hmm. Right. Anytime you hear a new reader, you're like, oh, this is weird because, you know, but once you start getting into the story, you completely forget about the reader and you picture the characters when they're using them, when they're reading for them.
Yeah. See, I have all the Game of Thrones series, the Song of Fire and Ice, but I also have all the Audible books.
Yeah.
For that whole series. And that guy's killer. He does a great job of doing all the voices and stuff. But you know, you're almost bringing me back to the other choice because on vacation, to me, is the best time to get a good book because you can pick it up and put it
like
down.
A physical book.
Or I mean, even if you listen, but you can sit anywhere. You can sit at the beach. You can sit in a swing. You can do anything. Whereas with a TV show or a movie, I mean, you're kind of set to one place, but you feel like you got to finish it. With a book, you don't have to finish it where you're sitting. You know, you can get up and pick it up later. So, yeah, it's a guarantee. And I've never read too many bad books. I'll admit there are some books I was ready to get to the end. But you know, the thing about books versus TV shows, sometimes you figure out the movie before it ends, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Whereas in a book,
well, sometimes you figure out a book too.
Yeah.
There's been a couple books where I just gave up on it. You know, I mean, that happened recently. I don't even remember the name, but Audible lets you return them.
Really?
So, yeah. So I got like halfway through the book and I was like, you know what? I don't even care how this book ends.
Can they tell if you haven't listened to it? Or how do you return an audiobook?
You go online and you say, I want to return this book and get my credit back so I can get a different book. And then that book is no longer playable in your library. It's no longer in your digital library. So I've done that a couple of times. But anyway, I have 145 books in my Audible library.
Well, which ones have you listened to more than once? Or should I say more than twice?
Well, all the Stephen King ones probably.
Yeah.
I've listened to. I don't remember, David. I'd have to look.
Yeah.
I'd have to look, but I
Well,
do read or listen to books more than once. And what's crazy is that I don't remember everything about the books. So
yeah.
like I'll read a book I haven't read in 10 years and I'll be like, now who did this? I've actually started a book before and got about an hour into it and thought, I think I may have read this book before. So I recently read The Silence of the Lambs. That was really good.
I'm trying to remember if I've read that because obviously I've seen all those. But I think I read Red Dragon, the prequel to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've read Silence of the Lambs.
I have a hard time figuring out what other genre that I want to read. So like sometimes I like detective genres and sometimes I don't, because sometimes they're not written very well.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they are. And it's such a hit and miss. And then if you read a certain author 2 or 3 times, different books, they all begin to sound the same and feel the same. And it gets to the point like Stephen King said once, well, he actually said it in a book from another character saying it, but he was like, once you have made it as an author, you can write pretty much anything you want and it's going to sell.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to get picked up.
See, my brother is an avid reader. I think he reads a lot of Louis L'Amour. Is that his name? The Western writer?
Louis L'Amour.
The Western.
Christian writer? I don't think Louis L'Amour is a Christian writer.
Western.
Oh, Western writer.
Yeah. And then he reads all of Stephen King too. But when he reads, I shouldn't.
Wait, is this Mike?
Well, I wasn't going to say his name because if a police officer is listening. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh.
No,
okay.
He reads while he drives. With his hand holding the book
physically
on the
reading?
steering wheel.
Dude, that is just so not right.
See, if he tried to do an audiobook, I don't think he could do it. It would probably be too slow. But yeah, he can read and drive at the same time. So don't get in front of my brother if you're on the interstate traveling somewhere.
Oh, that's The Martian's a really good book, but I've only read it once.
Is that the based on the Matt Damon movie based on that book?
Yeah, the movie's based on that book.
Because I was not about
to
say it's the book based on the movie. I know
yeah. One thing that I don't like is that once a movie comes out for a book, they change the book cover in Audible
to match the movie.
I want the original book cover that I bought.
Yeah.
I don't want the new movie cover. I'm not reading the movie. I'm reading the book. So The Girl on the Train was a great book.
That movie
was a good book.
The Martian. Yeah, we saw Girl on the Train too. But the Martian movie is on my list of movies that if it's on and there's not a ball game on that I'm looking for, I will just sit and watch The Martian. It's such a good movie.
So is Interstellar. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen it once.
Long as all get out, but it's good.
I want to watch it again though because I don't think I got everything out of it the first time.
Yeah. But like a Michael Connelly book, right? So I'm looking through my thing and I like Michael Connelly, but I can't read 2 or 3 of his books right in a row. I just can't do it because I guess I just don't. I don't know.
But you could Stephen King.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm looking at all these books that I have, and every single one of his books I've read at least twice. By reading, I mean listening.
Yeah.
So.
No, I used to joke you on that, but that's not.
Under the Dome, I think I've read 3 times.
I don't think I've read that at all.
Song of Susanna.
Yeah.
I've read it 3 or 4 times.
And that's in the Dark Tower series, right?
No, okay, no, that's not the one. I've read the Dark Tower series at least 3 times, maybe 4. No, this one is called, I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, but man, it's good. And sometimes he reads his own books.
Imagine reading a book about a joke-telling competition on a monorail and being enthralled throughout the entire book. Isn't that one of the books? I'm not trying to give anything away. If you haven't
Well,
read
that's
it,
not
you
the
should.
entire book.
But it's a lot of it. I just
Okay.
remember it being a lot of it.
Funny story. He ended a book. This is in the Dark Tower series. King ended the book with them on the monorail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had to stop the monorail. The monorail was going to kill them, right?
Mm-hmm.
He stopped the book. He finished the book before that was resolved. And then it was 6 or 7 years before he wrote the next book. He had so many upset people. But what he said was, I didn't know how they were going to get out of it. And I just felt like it was over, And then the beginning of the next book, they end up.
And see, that's the neat thing about book writing, in that you can do that. You can't do that with a show or a movie. Yeah. You got to have an end point, because you got to break up the show into bits that you're going to put in each episode or into the movie itself. So that is a benefit of being a book writer. That you can actually.
I've never seen a book do that before, or a series do that before, though.
Yeah, but he's Stephen King. So like you said, once you're Stephen King, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, but his stuff's still good. But he didn't do it on purpose to upset the listeners or anything like that.
Right.
It's just that's where it ended, and he couldn't write anymore. Bag of Bones is the one that I've read several times.
Yeah.
It's really good. And Stephen King actually narrates it.
See, John Grisham is one of those authors that I can read. I've read almost all of his stuff, but if you read them in a row, like you said, it starts to run together.
Did you say John Grisham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read most all of his
feel
stuff.
The same way about that. Yeah. So it's like, I have my son and daughter-in-law bought me 12 credits for Audible, or a whole year. So I get a new credit every month. So I'm not having to pay the $15 a month to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to pick them, because it's hard to pick a new book, because I don't know what's good. Although I probably could, look at the top New York Times list or whatever.
I did.
The longest book I have is The Stand, and it's 47 hours and 47 minutes. I've only done it once. And then the book It is 44 hours and 54 minutes.
Good gosh.
Under the Dome, 34 hours and 24 minutes. And all the Game of Thrones books, all of them are in the 30 to 40 plus hour range.
Have you ever heard of the Druid Chronicles?
No, but I'm going to write it down.
Kevin Hearne, Hearne.
Hey, Hearne.
Yeah, Kevin Hearne.
And what was it called? The Druids?
The Druid Chronicles. It's a series of books.
What's it about? Because I really think I'm just going to return this book and just disappoint my son severely, because he's the one that recommended it to me.
Just read it. It's
read it.
It's a very easy listen. Yeah.
So the first book is. What I don't like is 6 or 8 hour books, because they're like over so quickly. I hate short books. It needs to be at least 10 to 12 hours for me to really want to read it or listen to it.
All right, it's actually called The Iron Druid, but the first book is called Hounded.
Hounded?
Yeah.
And how long is it?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I think I listened. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I listened to it.
I just feel like I'm getting ripped off if it's an 8 hour book. I do. I really do.
If I'm not tied down
for
57 hours.
We're almost done. We're at 35 minutes or something.
Okay.
But let me look this up. Hounded by Kevin Hearne. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got 4.5 stars, 28,000 reviews, 8 hours and 6 minutes.
Sorry. Yeah, but it's only one
The first
book.
novel in the Iron Druid Chronicles, introducing a cool, new, funny urban fantasy hero. He's the last of the druids. Lives peacefully in Arizona. He shapeshifts in his spare time to hunt with his Irish wolfhound. Everybody thinks he's handsome, when he's 21 centuries old. Interesting. All right.
It's
I
fantasy.
think I might
pure
give that
fantasy.
one a try.
It's pure fantasy.
Yeah,
It's
I might
fun,
give that one a try.
but it's not heavy, and it's fun, and they eventually bring in characters from other fantasies type thing. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah. I think the first well, maybe not. The Sword of Shannara, for some reason, that book stands out. I think I was in 8th grade or something. And
what is that?
The Elf Stones of Shannara. It was a fantasy book. I mean, we're talking 40 plus years. We're talking 40 years ago.
I know we're almost done, but since we probably won't talk about books again for a while, is there any book that's ever scared you?
Yeah, Pet Sematary.
Thank you. That's one of the first. Somebody, a friend of mine gave that to me in high school and said, if you're going to like Stephen King, this book is the first book to read.
It's the only book that's ever scared me.
It's if you like this book, you'll like the rest of Stephen King. And sure enough, I read that book. It scared the poop out of me. And sorry to use foul language, but it did. And I'm like, okay, I'll read another one.
Yeah. I think I was in high school.
It
may have been the second of his book. The first one I read was Cujo. I think it was the second one. So I would have been in 8th or 9th grade. And what happened was obviously I would read the books, the big books, which I enjoy doing every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But it was like 2 a.m. when I finished it. And that last page freaked me out. I wasn't like scared to go to bed or anything, but it freaked me out. Oh, so much better than the movie.
Well, because my mind scared me more than the movie did. Yeah. I had the images in my head better than the movies did.
Yeah.
And
the movie didn't really scare me a whole lot, or it didn't scare me at all.
Yeah.
And but it was anyway. It was good. All right, so we're at. Man, I hate to stop this conversation, but well, I do want to say this last thing. I do want to thank you for something.
Oh gosh.
Then we'll be done with episode 5.
Okay.
I'm putting myself out there for voiceover work again.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to advertise myself here, but I'm putting myself out there for voiceover work again. I had given up on voiceover stuff, podcasting, doing anything that had to do with my voice and recording and stuff. I had just given up. I was just like, I'm never going to do this again. I don't really want to. It's almost like I was down on myself really bad.
Yeah.
If you had not suggested this podcast and we're not so excited about it, and I hadn't like, man, that sounds really good, I would have sold everything. In fact, I almost sold everything in November, but I didn't have time. And I have a lot of stuff. I mean, it was already packed up, ready to go.
But even though we didn't have an ongoing podcast at the time, that would have felt like losing a limb or something. Just because there's something that we have. We vacation with our wives and kids, but still, this is something you and I have that we thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
And even stuff like tonight, we're just talking about anything.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
But I mean, to be fair, we tried different things.
Yeah.
And, Survivor had its run, and even our relaunch was okay. But then we tried another one that was like we recorded one episode and that was it. We had no desire to do anymore. So, but I don't know. I had just kind of given up on the whole thing, and now I've not, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this. And I'm, recording 41 baseball intros.
There you go.
So anyway, we do have a Facebook group. By the way, thank you all for listening. We do have a Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/all-meat because we love pizza. So that's all I got. How about you, Dave?
I'm good.
All right. See ya.
See ya.